Dr. Lynne Kenney is a pediatric psychologist and educator, well-versed in the principles of successful parenting. The founder of the multimedia franchise, The Family Coach, she's also the creator of the BabyFirst TV video series. Lynne has contributed content to several television programs, including The Montel Williams Show and ABC News. Enjoy the following excerpt from her presentation, Parenting Essentials, 10 Steps to More Confident Parenting.
Now, if you could distill parenting into 10 essential things, tell me what just one of them would be. Go ahead.
Learn patience.
Yes, learn patience. You have to breathe through it, don't you? How do you find patience? Oh, it's not easy, is it? Carefully. I will tell you a short story about how I personally found patience. I'm a 9-year-old, so I love playing and I am pretty patient, but I respect that, and sometimes I get tired and overworked just like everybody else, and I find myself a little on the snappy side. We call it, you're a little on the snappy side, and everyone in the family does it, okay? My very closest friend, Jeannie, lost her only child 3 years ago. And you know what? It was a serious, serious tragedy. The child was 16 years old and she got killed in a car crash. And what we say in our family now, and you can use this, is we call it a Lisa moment. If for some reason I'm too stressed out or my expectations are too high or the children are being too noisy, because I like silence sometimes too, I say to the children, you know what, this is going to have to be a Lisa moment, meaning I'm going to be very, very grateful to God that I still have you beautiful children. We're going to all breathe deeply and through this, and you're going to rise up in terms of your behavior right now, and I'm going to rise up in terms of my behavior, and we're going to all stay patient and calm. And so you can have a Lisa moment in your home too. You can call up this power that says to you, I'm going to be patient for a really good reason. And when you find that, when you have that little mantra to kind of hang on to, whichever mantra is going to be good for you, it's so much easier to call up. Okay, so one essential is patience. What else? Yes?
Forgive yourself when you lose your
Oh, so important. You know, the thing is that children are really resilient, and they will forgive you unless you attack them time and time and time again for a really long time. They're very flexible and forgiving. So the good news is that if you can forgive yourself, they're going to be just fine. But what is the essential thing you have to do once you forgive yourself? What are the 2 words you've really got to say? I'm sorry. Yes, you guys are clearly a very thoughtful, bright, educated audience. You have to say, I'm sorry. Now, what comes after sorry? Go ahead.
Forgive me.
Yes, forgive me, and a commitment to change. See, every behavior you exhibit, whether you have a physical illness, a mental illness, you know, an intermittent explosive disorder, whatever you have, you know, diabetes, whatever, every behavior you make is a choice. And so you have to model for your children, I am going to choose to change that behavior now. I'm not going to do it perfectly. I'm really not going to do it perfectly, kids, but guess what? We're going to do it together. You get little sayings in your life. You help them monitor your behavior a little bit, and then you help them monitor their behavior a little bit. One of my favorite exercises in my office is to have the children, this really is effective. I've got parents who come to me, they want a child to change something. What I do is I identify that behavior for the whole family to work on, and I give the kids a parent report card. All right, this was not my idea. A 6-year-old made up this idea. Because you know what, I'm going to tell you, I'm like the guide, you guys are the experts. And what I do is I chat with you, and we're a good detective team together, and then we find the resolution together. And so often, you guys, or your 6-year-olds, or your 15-year-olds know the answer. And so when I stop saying to my child, you need to change this, you need to change this, or my husband, you need to change this, when I start saying, we all need to change this together, let's try to figure this out, let's analyze it, and I'm going to give you a report card, and you tell me, have I stayed calm this week? Have I breathed deeply? Have I loved you enough? Have I expressed to you how much I care? When you start doing that, It's like it takes you right out of the control cycle and right into change. It's amazing. All right, have you heard of the V word? What could the V word be? If we're talking about redefining our family with hope and love and inspiration, and we're gonna build this new foundation and then decorate our house, what might the V word be? Victory, I like it, victory, that's a good one. Victory, values, that's right. We've got to start with a firm foundation, and it's gonna be the V word, values. You, in my opinion, need to identify, communicate, and live your values. Okay, listen, this is not easy, and none of us do it perfectly. I break the rules too sometimes, and I have to say I'm sorry too. But many parents with whom I interact have expectations, not only of their children, of themselves and of their spouses and of the people who live around them, but they never communicate what they are. You know why? They're unidentified. When you actually sit down with a piece of paper and you write down, what do I really value? Your whole life changes, because then you live in accordance with your values. Okay, so people say to me, well, what would an example value be? Can you give me one? What would an example value be?
Honesty.
Honesty. Honesty, respect, love it. What else? You could value athleticism. You could value achievement. Yes. Courage, I like it. You could value courage, yes.
Family traditions.
Family traditions. Oh, I love rituals, routines, and traditions. They're so great. It is so fun to make new ones.
Health.
Health, yes. You know what? Health is a really, really good value because it keeps everyone around longer.
Learning.
Learning, education, growth,
Balance.
balance. Oh, yeah.
Work ethic.
Balance. Work ethic. Yes.
More sleep.
More sleep, clearly an important thing. Yeah, very nice. I saw another good one. Spending time together, loving on one another. You know, are we, yeah, go ahead.
Eating together, I think.
Eating together, I agree. I love the family meals. I love them. They're really important. It's not always easy to do, but you got to actually put it on your schedule. You got to write these things down. All right, so many people have behavioral expectations based on their values, but they don't identify them and they don't write them down. You've got to communicate your values. This is what creates the firm foundation of parenthood. And you know what? Every family I interact with has different values. We embrace that. We embrace the differences. What you have to know is, what do you value? Are you going to live according to your V word? You got to write them down. This is what we do. You take what you value, we've come up with lots of them, and you write them on the left side of the piece of paper. And then on the right side of the piece of paper, you fold it in half. On the right side of the piece of paper, you write down what would be your family rules for functioning based on those values. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. My husband brought to our family, because I just married him 2 years ago, and I already had 2 children. And he brought to our family that we, and this is one of these, that we lift each other up, we never bring each other down. And it's a fundamental value for our family. He is like the best cheerleader. He's just right behind me, he's right behind them with all sorts of enthusiasm. And so when I'm in the car, let's like bring this down to a super functional everyday, they're screaming in the back seat, and I've already said 3 times be quiet level, okay? All right, and they don't listen to me like, you know, they don't listen to most people. And so they're fighting, and I pull over, and the first thing I do is I breathe. And they see me open my door, and they go, uh-oh, we're in trouble. I turn off the car, because I never leave it running. I walk around the car, and I open their door. Clink. Hi, kids. This is not a good thing when mommy has to get out of the car. What's our family rule? And they say, we lift each other up. And then I say, were we lifting each other up? And they say, no. And I say, you need to compliment one another right now. So I don't get into a control struggle with them. I don't say, oh, who was in, who blames. We don't do that. We don't do any blaming. There's no space for it. Then, it's so cute, the little 5-year-old goes, oh, Olivia, I really love you. She can't find a compliment. She just goes, I love you. And then Olivia says, Lexus, thank you for giving me your purse. something like that. Because anything that Alexis has, Olivia ends up with in about 5 minutes. And then I say, we will continue this car ride when we commit to raising one another up. Shut the door, walk back in, start the car, and we're gone. Okay? But I had to get out of my seat because later on we're going to talk about getting up off the couch. All right. So you ready to write them all down? Do you each have a family mission statement? Oh gosh, when you go home today, will you sit down with your family and write your family mission statement? Your family mission statement is a simple statement about how we want to live. All right, so you take your values and you say, it should be one simple sentence. We are a family that wants to live with compassion. We are a family that wants to live with patience. In my family, we would probably write, we are a family that wants to give back. That's just one of the fundamental ways that we live. And yesterday, I had a really pleasant experience here. We were all sitting around a table talking about what would be a life great lived. What would be a great, great, great lived life? Anybody have a thought? I think that a life really well lived is one in which you identify and live your passion. And if you don't know what you value, you're never going to know what is your passion. Live like a life coach. You play so many roles in your family. You are a life coach. Let's think about it. Mediator, nurse, doctor, lawyer. Name some other roles you play in your family. Caretaker, cook, chauffeur, teacher, very important. Any others? Housekeeper, uh-oh. What else? Playmate, I love that. Get down on the floor, get down on their level and play. I love that. Doctor, absolutely. You are playing so many different roles. They need you to teach them sufficient life skills to live without you. And there's a girl named nanny named Michelle LaRoe who just published a book called Nanny to the Rescue. It's a really good fundamental book because she says if you're doing things for your children that they can do for themselves, you're making a mistake because your job is to get them to do it. Very important. I needed that take-home lesson. I still was like running to the fridge getting my kids water, and I was like, you know what, you know how to do that. You can do that. So what was loving when they were little was dysfunctional when they were older, right? You're an educator, a confidant. You're a force of stability. If you walk away from this talk today feeling more centered and more stable and more firm and more powerful, I'll be really, really happy because you're their center.